have you heard of this app called Grindr? I'm like, Grindr, no, what's that? And he's like, it's like a gay Tinder. It's,
Gay Tinder.
He's completely joking at the time. So he hangs up the phone, and I'm just kind of there thinking. It's like, I created an account, got 8 clients in 72 hours.
I love it. All right, let's go. It is The Social Seller with Conor Paulsen. This is episode 1. I have been looking forward to this for years. This has been years in the making. Now, what is The Social Seller? The Social Seller is all about using sales and communicating at the highest level, right? Whether we're selling ourselves or a product or service, but doing it in a non-salesy way, right? Being a genuine person. It's not about old school sales methods, about, profits first. It's really about customer first, guiding them to a better life. So I'm excited just to hop in, and today we have a special guest. It is Kevin Dana, one of my closest friends here in San Diego. We got connected about a year ago, and excited to just hop in. So to give you some context for anyone that doesn't know Kevin, he currently is a salesperson in a variety of ways. We'll talk about that here in a second. When I met him, he was doing anywhere from 25 to 50K a month, solo, which is awesome, right? Most people don't do that. You're 22 years old, and you think like a disciplined mofo, man. You really are. Out of all friends, you're disciplined, but you just have a grit in you. So I'm excited to bring that back. So you were born Mormon, and then, or born Mormon in San Francisco, went to high school in Utah, and then moved to San Diego, 2-3 years ago?
About 3.
3? Yeah. Hell yeah. Lived downtown. And so I guess just to start it off, I'd love for you to kind of explain the condensed version of, I know you traveled a little bit growing up, but, tell the viewers who you are and what brought you here to San Diego.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't have like you hear these people, I don't have like a super crazy upbringing where all this crazy stuff happened with my childhood. Nothing like that. Pretty good childhood. Mom and dad are both, happily married, stuff like that. Grew up in a great family. Grew up in the Bay Area, San Francisco, Danville, if any of you guys know where that is. It's like 30 minutes east of San Francisco. But I was just there, and my dad is a medical director, and then my mom's just kind of a stay-at-home mom. That's kind of been my background as far as where I lived. And then during high school, we moved to Utah. Basically, my dad had a great job opportunity, and they had a killer football program, so it was kind of just both things came together. So was really into football growing up, and then I just found out I tore my LCL. Had dreams of playing college, tore my LCL, figured out that kind of ruined it. So then after that, I just kind of got into sales, and ever since I got into sales, I sucked at sales in the beginning. I got into sales, got kicked off the sales team, then bounced around a ton of random jobs.
What age did you get kicked off?
18. So right after high school. Yeah, graduated high school. The day of my high school graduation, I didn't like Utah. I'll preface that a little bit. I wasn't really a huge fan.
Yeah.
I don't know why necessarily. It's mainly I just love California, and I have to have the ocean near me. I don't know what it is about it. I just love the ocean. I'm a water boy for sure. But I got kicked off the sales team at 18, and then I was just bouncing around construction and all these other. I even did another sales job, which was even worse, and I quit that just because I had anxiety every day going to work. And then this is my first dream. So I graduated high school. I'm like, I'm gonna be rich. Like, screw college. I already had that mindset. Like, college is a scam. College is, all this stuff. And then I'm gonna get rich in sales. First, 3 months, I got kicked off the summer sales team. We were doing pest control, door-to-door pest control.
Okay.
Got kicked off the sales team right before they had an extended summer where they competitions and stuff.
Yeah.
So right before that, they cut me off and just say, at the time, I wasn't even taking housing, because it's like a group of 30 young guys. We're all living in the same apartment complex. I was sleeping on the floor. I didn't have money. I was sleeping on the floor of the apartment. And then they're like, look, you're not producing. You're not even worth having here. That was basically the conversation. So then I just got, kicked off. I was in Orange County. So that's where I started sales. The day of my high school graduation, I was driving down to Orange County. I didn't go to my high school graduation. I was driving down to do sales. And then I got kicked off 2.5 months later. So once I did that, I just bounced around random stuff, just did demo.
What did you feel like when you were kicked off? Was it anger? Was it pissed off? Were you mad at yourself? Or did you think that they didn't give you the chance that
I felt definitely the chance, just because the day they fired me, I produced more. I got 5 deals that day.
Let's talk numbers, yeah.
5 deals that day. And I think that was the highest on the team of that day. And that same day, he brought me in. It was 11 o'clock. He's like, hey, I have to talk to you. And that's when he let me know. I'm like, I just got, maybe in the beginning, I sucked. But that same day, I got more than everyone today. Like,
Yeah.
But I also think there's a part of it, they don't have to pay you your overrides unless you stay the extended summer. So that's 2/3 of the payment that I just didn't get.
Yeah.
Because I did make sales. I didn't kill it, but I did make sales, but I didn't really get the money from it. So that was my first experience in sales. And,
which to anyone listening to this that might not be in the sales realm, this isn't fully focused about sales, but it's about how we represent ourselves. Now, in my opinion, and Kevin, I'm curious, door-to-door knocking is like the lowest level of sales in the sense of like it takes grit, hard work, discipline. You learn the most, you become...
It's like the trenches of
It
sales,
is the trenches.
in my opinion.
Yeah. And if you want to work your way up, and let's say at the top, you might call it high income or high ticket sales, right? You're selling products or services. Usually most people would say like 10K or more.
Yeah.
I don't think you can have the level of credibility at the top if you didn't go through the stages and you started at the bottom. And so we'll talk about the door-to-door more in a second, but I want to give context to anyone that hasn't done door-to-door. Holy shit, this guy is a next level person. He's the reason that I got involved. And I don't think anyone even really knows that aside from Kevin and a couple close friends that for a few hours each week, each day, I will finish a 12-hour day and go door knock, doing the same thing Kevin and I.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, keep going. So you got kicked off, kind of pissed. You performed that day, but you have a
that
mindset.
Day, I don't think that was like the one day I did, just because I knew I was kind of like, I knew they were thinking about it, because it was a family trip, and it's a family trip, I'm not going to miss it, but I guess no one there takes any breaks at all, unless you're really good and you can do whatever you want. So I wasn't really good. I was already kind of on, and like we had a family vacation, so it's when I came back from that, and it was the first day I came back from it. So they already knew they were going to fire me, basically. I came back, worked one day, and then they let me go because I took 5 days off.
Yeah.
So
I love it. So that's the trenches story for you. I love hearing that, and I haven't heard that one yet, just from our conversation. So let's fast forward. I remember our conversations. You started college, quickly realized this is not for me, and you almost had to convince your mom. But then fast forward, moving forward, so you've always kind of been in sales, right? And then over the last few years, were you doing door-to-door, or what were you doing up to COVID? Because I know when COVID hit, it kind of woke your ass up too, and you opened up some other opportunities. Could you talk about that?
Going back to the door-to-door, I did started door-to-door three years ago, and then I took a break for like 6 months, and that's when I bounced around the random job, and then I tried a semester of college. I already knew college was not for me. I'm just like, well, nothing else is working. My parents were offering to pay for it, which I wasn't a big fan of because, they weren't in the best financial situation by any means.
Yep.
So I'm like, I don't want you to pay for something I'm not serious about. But I did try it, went to one semester in Hawaii. It's kind of exactly what I thought, business school teacher, never in a business. So then I just came home and I just committed myself to sales, and that's when I started at the company I now work for, New Power. I actually did demolition on one of the former owner's house. And he's like, bro, you're doing hard labor right now, like get into sales. I'm like, no, I've already tried that. I hated it. I'm not getting into sales. I was trying to go back and do anything but sales. And then I hopped on the phone with Rob. You know how Rob is. You can't really say no to him.
Rob is one of the owners of this company, and he leads the sales team.
I hopped on the phone with him, and he convinced me to do sales. And ever since then, I still sucked in the beginning, but I just committed to it, and I knew I had to get good at sales. I knew even though I wasn't succeeding, I have to succeed because I have to get good at talking to people. Yeah. So.
And one of the big things that we both share is at a young age, and I don't think today we can go into the details, but we both had a mindset of like, I'm willing to work my ass off to live the best life, right? And like not taking shortcuts, knowing that you're going to put the work in, you have to go through failure, you're going to learn, and you're going to keep moving. And I think for a lot of people that aren't familiar with like high income skills, sales is arguably one of the best in the world, and it's a skill set that came, I wouldn't say it was natural to both of us, because listen, you got kicked off your first job. For me, it was the only jobs I could really get growing up.
Yeah, I'll hear people say sales isn't for me, and I just think that's the biggest BS I've ever heard. Like, I started in sales with social anxiety, like, pretty bad, like, to the point where I'd be walking across the street, and I'd get anxiety thinking about what they thought of how I was walking, how I was doing, whatever. Like, that's how bad it was, to the point. So, like, my first door I ever knocked, I froze, didn't know anything, and then I threw up in the bushes, like, ran away, like, threw up in the bushes, because I was just sick to my stomach. So,
you guys, this is a real thing now. Until you actually start knocking on doors, you can practice, you can shadow, but when you go knock on your first few doors, I didn't puke, but I definitely was like a little shaky. Yeah. And my voice, the pitch goes out. Like you just, it's so much more challenging. You're showing up to someone's house uninvited, you're on their property, you're bothering them when they're probably living a busy life, and then you have to somehow build rapport
right now
and get them to do
pandemic,
something. Yeah, that is, we're still doing it.
Yeah.
We're an essential service.
So.
Yeah. So let's keep going. And I guess just a quick before, because I don't want to forget this, and most people wouldn't know some of these things, but can you just quickly, in less than a minute, explain 2 of the most awkward or weird scenarios that you've had happen to you in door-to-door? Because let's both share 1 or 2, because I don't think most people have.
I have 2 ones that stick out. One of them involves a gun, and one of them involves a fist fight. Or not fist fight, but a tussle, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So first one, this was more of a funny one. It wasn't serious, even though it did involve a gun. I thought it was the most funny thing in the world. This guy's in his garage cleaning his gun. Like, it's all taken apart. And we're persistent. I'm persistent with this guy. And as I'm talking to him, he starts to put the gun together as I'm talking to him. And then at the end, I was just kept on going. And he has nowhere to go. And then he's like putting it together. He said something along the lines of like, boy, if you don't get out of here. And he had the gun together and he just like, not pointed at me, but he had it in his hand and just like shook it kind of. So I thought that was pretty funny.
I love that.
And then the other time I got into kind of this tussle with this, I think he was like maybe a 60, 65-year-old. I'm just assuming here, but like a Vietnam vet type guy or something. I don't know if he had a type PTSD, but he was just not having a good day. I knocked on his door and he just pointed his fingers in my face. And I just he was like right here close to my face. So I just like moved his hand out of the way. And then the second I just move his hand, he just starts hitting me up the head. So, and he won't let me go. He's like, has one of my arms and he won't let me go. So I'm just like, I just try to get away peacefully. I don't want any problems. He won't let me go. So I have to grab his other shoulder and kind of throw him out of the house a little bit. And then his son comes down. He didn't really seem that surprised, which just tells me this could be a normal
probably
thing
happened
for
before.
This guy. Yeah,
the mailman hates this house.
Yeah, the mailman, the UPS guys. But yeah, those are probably the 2 funniest experiences that I've had. If I were to just, both of them were hilarious. And then I knocked on his neighbor right after that, and then there was like 2 neighbors watching the whole thing go down. It was pretty funny.
And you're here, you're safe. Yeah, I would say for me, I can't even think about all of them, because each week you kind of have one, but they're different, right? Yeah. So with a lot of door-to-door people, we almost have this unspoken, like, how close can you get to someone that you just walk up to? You know, Kevin will send a random picture once in a while, and not only will he knock on a random door, but the family invites him in for dinner, and he's sitting with their family, right? From a door knocker to sitting at family dinner. I've had a couple heated, I wasn't arguing, but when you learn how to deal with objections and you're able to keep state, like you're not, rising to their level of intensity and anger, and you're just like, hey, I'm just doing my job. And I know that's the tone we have.
And I love it because it's a game. It's literally like
game.
chess.
Yep.
And you're just making moves, and you just see if you can get them in checkmate. That's kind of how I look at it.
I love it. So let's keep moving forward. So kind of on the sales side, because whether you're a salesperson or not, we are all selling ourselves all the time. And I can 100%. Tell you that if you value communication, and I'm sure you agree with this, that sales comes naturally within it, right? And I think the highest level is just being able to positively influence, right? Helping people get to a better life. So what's been your lowest point in life, and how'd you break through?
Yeah, so we touched on it a little bit, but I'd say the lowest point was several of them. Always going through ups and downs. It's a constant thing, and I don't think that ever really goes away.
And describe like the depths. Like I don't think most people understand how you have to experience the depths. But like, what did it feel like? What was going on in your mind? And what do you think people
so I'll
around you
explain
thought
the situation
of you?
first. The situation was when I got kicked off the sales team. Prior to that, I've dealt with depression and stuff my whole life, suicidal thoughts all through high school. Kind of did some weak attempts in high school, like say attempted suicide, but like, if I wanted to kill myself, I would kill myself. It's kind of just an attempt that is not really going to work, but it does get you attention and stuff. So kind of that's what it was. So I did that in high school, and then that was right. And then 4 months later, I'm like, screw this. I'm gonna do sales, get rich, whatever. Didn't. I got kicked off the team. So that was a pretty low point. I was like, I had to sleep I was borrowing my parents' car. They let me borrow it, which is nice of them. Slept in that for like maybe a night or two, and then they found our grandparents have a condo in PB, and I was able to stay there for a little bit till I got like another house. But that was probably the lowest point. I actually remember, Law Street Beach. I remember being on that cliff, just looking at like, just contemplating like taking your own life and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
But. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the lowest point. Sorry, I get emotional.
Yeah.
Because I still go to that beach today, and I still look out. It's the same place I look. Even then, it's just this one house. And this is important. We're not even going to dive into this probably, but visualization and just visualize that house on the cliff. I've always wanted to be rich, and I think a lot of people don't even have that. Honestly, it seems like it's more rare nowadays. Like people kind of, I don't know. At least with the new social media and stuff I've seen, it's almost like people look down on wealth. They're wanting to achieve that now.
Yeah.
But it's always been something I wanted. So even when I was there, I was contemplating my own life. But I think just being there, seeing that, I'm like, I can't do that. I mean, I want that. So that was and I still go to that beach all the time. Whenever I have issues, I go to that same exact beach, every time, same exact beach, same place. So that's my spot, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's cool how you go to the same place and just in different points of your life. Some of the best points, some of the worst points, all in the same place, exact place. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, dude, I think that's a metaphor for life, right?
Yeah.
Like when you feel the depths, you are so close to some big growth, right?
Yeah.
And it sucks. It's hard when you feel depths to pull yourself out, because I've definitely felt those things too, and it is more difficult than anything. But getting back to routine, and I agree. I think most people want to be rich, right? Because it looks fun, and I'm sure it is. And then there's the group within that's willing to do whatever it takes, right? And prioritizes that above anything else, and realizes that opportunity costs, trade-offs. And I say this because I look up to you. You're 22 years old. I'm 27, right?
Yeah.
I don't care about age. I look at how hard you work. You brought me into a couple opportunities. We've been able to help each other out. So I love that. But I want to ask you, why do you want to be rich?
Yeah. Freedom. Freedom's the number one reason. Everyone's like, it's not about the money, and it's not. I do want to my 3 core values are: number 1's freedom, number 2's family, and number 3's impact. So those are my 3 values. So freedom, you have to have money to have freedom. I don't care what anyone says. You have to have money. If you're broke, you do not have freedom.
Yeah.
You may be able to go to the beach and sleep on your own time and be homeless, but that's not freedom. Or maybe I should say first class freedom. Being able to do. And I don't want to think about money. So that's the thing is a lot of people they use the mindset of I don't care about money, and it's we should. You kind of need. When we live on an economic planet, you kind of need it.
Mm-hmm.
But the number one thing is I grew up with people fighting over the bill at dinner and stuff like that. I'm I don't want to ever have to think about money. I want to make a lot of money, but I don't really want to think about it in the sense that think about how to get more of it, but not think of what does it cost and stuff like that. I always hated that, and I saw that's the origin. My dad went to college, 12 years of medical school, and they still had some issues with that. I'm that's kind of where it's not the way. But why I want to get rich, obviously it's freedom to live the life on my terms, but it's also what I build in doing that. My goal is to be a billionaire, possibly multi-billionaire. We'll see, but billionaire is the floor. Definitely want to get billionaire, and I just see how possible it is.
Yeah.
I see people like Grant Cardone. I'm 22. I still feel old. I still feel behind. But then I look at Grant Cardone. He didn't start until he was 25. And look at him now. And a lot of these guys are in kind of similar situations. The guy who started, what's his name? I think Virgin Atlantic or something. He was homeless twice. If that's
dude,
the right
the founder of Zara started Zara at 54 years old. So you have no excuse.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's still the most profitable company. Well,
Really?
I guess with COVID, one of the most profitable retail companies. But I guess that's definitely got to be thrown off since COVID.
Yeah.
I remember reading this, before. So about a year ago. Damn, it's been a full year of COVID. That's wild.
Crazy.
That's wild. And so we talked about your first job in sales and kind of the takeaways. And what do you think has enabled you to have success in a variety of sales? Whether it's door to door and helping people, get solar, or selling your fitness programs, right? You coach businesses, other fitness coaches, but you also do that yourself. So, what would you say? What
number one
separates you?
thing I think, and it's switched probably over the years, but right now, if you ask me this question, which you are, number one thing is conviction in what you're selling. So once you have conviction, if you believe that what you're selling doesn't really help people and stuff like that, it's really hard. You're gonna have to play the role of an actor and feel like you're an actor and stuff. But if you genuinely believe it and you're look, you're paying this much, with solar, it doesn't cost anything. It just lowers your bill. Or if fitness, you're changing their life. The value. Look, I get people results. This is what you wanted. You wanted it for 10 years and you've always put it off. You need to, and just being genuine with that. Genuine and authenticity is my biggest thing. I don't feel like I'm good at sales, as weird as that is. I don't feel like I know all the sales tactics or anything like that. I know some of them, sure, but like all these, you know, maybe huge like the Jordan Belfort style or like stuff like that. I'm just very genuine, and I show them how it can help them, and I'm persistent. And I think if you have those three things, you're genuine, you believe in your product, and then you're just persistent. I think that alone, if you do it long enough, that's the recipe for a great salesperson.
I couldn't agree more. Dude, and you just explained what the social seller is, right? And for anyone that's not familiar, social selling is a term used in digital marketing and sales that it's not being salesy, right? It's learning how to have, I would almost say, like a charisma and communicate at a high enough level that you're not hearing, you're listening. Yeah. And it's putting them first, right? The customer first, profit second. And when you genuinely come up and you show up like that, people feel it. No, I really like that. And what do you think?
You feel it too. I mean, it's really hard. I mean, I haven't really ever done it. I said the closest thing I got to it was probably pest control, selling pest. I mean, it doesn't really need it. You can go to Home Depot and get the same stuff for way cheaper. So that's probably the closest thing I got to like where I felt like I had to like kind of act in a way, because I wasn't convinced of the product. I mean, we kill ants. Yeah. You can get stuff in Home Depot that does the same stuff. But
that is a valid point.
Yeah, I think it's just really important just believing, you know, in your product, because I mean, once you believe in your product, a lot of people will sell something they don't believe in, and then they kind of have you wonder why they struggle with conviction.
Right? Yeah, and one of the hardest things is, you know, you can communicate, but then how you handle objections. And that was one of the things, because I think there's always a learning curve when you're selling anything new, right? And when you're genuine, eventually you're going to hit, you know, if we're talking door knocking terms, you're going to hit someone that's somewhat chill. Yeah,
and the thing is, when you're genuine, you don't like feel like you have to say the right thing.
No.
That's the biggest thing. That's like when someone throws an objection, like I'm calm and collected no matter what they could throw me. It's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know, but this helps you in this way and this way and this way. Like, I don't know that, but it doesn't really matter. And like, just whatever the question is, it doesn't really ever throw me off, because it's like, you know, sometimes it just asks irrelevant stuff, and that doesn't really matter. I mean, it's just show you, and you just bring it back. So, objection handling, just don't make a big deal out of it. And then if you're yourself, it's not an issue. But if you're like trying to be someone, you're like, how would this person say that objection? Yeah. Like, how would, you know, you have a script, you have an exact script of how you handle each objection. That's where it's like, it's good to have like a skeleton, but to have an exact script maybe is not, I don't know, it can make you feel like you're acting like someone else, which then authenticity is kind of thrown out the window, and then you kind of get nervous, or maybe you stumble on your words. When you're genuine, it's really hard to stumble on your words, because you're not kind of really figuring out what to say, you're just going off the cuff.
Yeah. And I relate to that, because I go back and forth between that, because my natural self is like, I want to be in the moment. That's where I know my charisma shines, and growing up in the Midwest, like that's just, it's natural to me. So it's an easy way to help people. But now, you know, Uptown Creation's growing. We have a team of over 50. My job is to lead the sales team, right? Now, when I talk scalability, I look at it a little differently, and you manage sales teams too. But there needs to be almost a consistency within that structure. So like a skeleton, I agree, but I'm always encouraging the team to make sure that you're voicing it authentically to you, like you as an individual, because it's going to sound...
Yeah, like don't try to say it exactly how I say it, because you're not me.
Exactly. You know? You have to make it your own. Yeah. And I think that's something a lot of people aren't willing to do.
Yeah, and because you'll see them with the script, and like they're trying to say it, like, oh, he says this, and like say this, and like
that person feels it.
Whatever that statement means, like get the point across. But however you get the point across, whatever.
Yep. No, I love that. What do you think separates you from other salespeople?
Just one, patient. Like I'm extremely impatient, so it's weird anyone who knows me hearing that. Like, you're the most impatient person on earth. But patience in the sense that I just knew, like, getting good at sales took me 8 months to make probably $600 to $800 a week. It took me like 6 months probably, and then it took me nine to 10 months probably to make over $1,000 a week. And that's just I just knew I had to get good at it. I knew I needed to, and I just knew what it would. I think if you're just focusing on the money, like a lot of salespeople are, and a lot of people join our team, and I always tell them when they're shadowing me, like, look, you could kill it right off the bat, you could not. But if your number one reason is money, and like you're not making money in the beginning, that's not a big enough reason. If your number one reason is money, and you're not making enough money in the reason, you're not in the beginning, you're not going to drive yourself, past all the crap that you come up with while you're out there knocking, or whatever the sales is. So it's just being able to really being after the skill set is a lot more important, and realizing and basically having your why down. It's always cheesy. You talk about your why, but it's because it works. That's why everyone says it.
Yeah, no, it's a real thing.
But like, why do you need to get good at sales? You need to get good at sales because you need to be able to talk to anyone and convince them to anything. You need to convince that girl why she should date you. You need to convince that, just anything. Like,
yeah.
Anything in life is a form of sales, whether you think it is or not. And if you don't think it is, you're just being foolish, because everything is.
Yeah. Amen. No, I couldn't agree more. And one other aspect here is the way that we value and look at self-education, right? Like improving ourselves, not traditional curriculum like college. I went to business school and I knew sophomore year that this was not right. I was doing it for my dad, right? But I still finished it for younger siblings.
Props to you. That's awesome.
Because I majored in entrepreneurship. So it was a win-win because I was doing business competitions too. So that was fun. I wanted to, on the self-education side, I think talking numbers, how much have you invested in yourself, whether it's masterminds? Because I see a clear separation within salespeople and digital marketers that actually invest in themselves, go to events, and are taking daily action, right?
Yeah.
And those are the people that find success a lot quicker. And a lot of times I've noticed it's sustainable. And I know you've spent, you're a lot.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's around, I haven't crunched the numbers exactly. Maybe I should do that one of these days. But
over 6 figures?
6 figures in self-education?
Yeah.
No, it's not quite that high. No.
Okay.
Because I've only been in this for 3 years.
Okay.
So, and first year I hardly made anything.
Yeah. Oh, shit. We gotta go back. You've only been making money for a year.
I've only been making money for 2 actual years, I'd say. Making decent money. But yeah, the first investment that I made, it's with the mastermind, so total was like $25,000.
Yep.
Total. At the time, it was $5,000. And it was Peter Voog's mastermind. I don't know if you know him. It was a Game Changers Academy. I had probably $5,200 in my bank account. It was $5,000. No hesitation. Did it.
Yeah.
And then I hopped on a call with him. I asked him, like, how can I get involved with you? So I reached out to him. So maybe that's the thing. Like, reach out to people. Like, see people who are living the life that you want. Reach out to them and offer to pay them. Like, everyone's like, exchange value. And like, what value do I have? In the beginning, your value is going to be money. In the beginning, you're going to have nothing else to offer but money. So, for the most part, unless you're like a videographer, maybe.
I would say on the flip side to that is you can also play the student, and I do that often too. And if you're in college, this is a great place to play it, is the student card, right? Like I'll reach out to high-level people, and it's helping them see that we're very similar, right? That, this person was probably hungry, asking for help when they were my age. And so if I come to them, and I actually used this last week with a client will be signing here in the next month, but I was doing follow-up the last 2-3 months and like just trying to get on this call. It would land a huge deal, huge opportunity in a network that we need to be a part of, and couldn't get him on a call. Then eventually I message him and I'm just like, hey, I've always looked up to you. I consider you a friend, but most importantly, a role model. And we also happen to go to the same college, the University of Iowa. So then I play the black and gold, and I know you're also a Hawkeye alum. I just love to get your feedback and any advice you might have. Yeah. The magic part, he instantly books it. And when the tone he comes on with, in the tone in email was like, hey, I'm busy. I've got these things going on. I've got a huge partnership with LinkedIn, these other things going on. I don't have time. And then it just shifted, right? When we got on the call, it was a vastly different tone. Yeah. So again, this all comes back to social selling. It's like, how do you provide value first, but guiding them? It's not hard selling, right? The challenge is, and one of the B2B sales coaches here in San Diego that I really look up to, I know you do too, Johnny Anton, he talks about the new paradigm of sales. And I think it's beautiful because the majority of the world, whether you're in sales or not, we're living in the old paradigm, right? The Jordan Belfort movie, like The Wolf on Wall Street, right? It's like wealthy people taking advantage of underprivileged people, and it's like forcing sales down their throat, but it's not like that, right? Movies and media have portrayed it. Which is why people have a
horrible relationship with sales.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people say, I don't want to get into sales and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, you're 100% right. I learned a lot from this guy. His charisma is something I'm still taking notes on to this day. See this guy at a party at something else. Still working on that.
I love social settings. I'm not good at many things, but once in a while.
But, yeah, getting back, what were you talking about? I'm good.
Oh, yeah. We'll just keep it flowing, man. We'll just keep it flowing because we went through the questions, but I want to give you some time, too, because I want you to mention what Uprise is, and I know it's blowing up here, and you have big plans this year, but you were doing sales, and then COVID hit, and you kind of realized, what happened for you to realize, like, I don't need to just be a salesperson, but I need to start creating some passive income streams?
So... yeah, I think a lot of people relate to that. I've had a lot of people, and I've seen on my sales team, like, you're doing sales You're getting good at sales, which is good, great. A lot of people, but they're like, I'm not an entrepreneur yet. I'm not an entrepreneur yet. I'm doing sales, but I'm not an entrepreneur because I still am W-2 or whatever it is, still working for a company. So a lot of people, and I saw it very early on, is a lot of people would kind of leave, start their own thing, and maybe started with not much money and it wouldn't really work. So I kind of just committed to sales, getting good at it, kind of blinders on. I didn't care about anything else. I wasn't doing this, wasn't doing this. I was learning like a little bit of everything, but not like starting a full-blown business out of it. And then COVID came. Sales stopped. We couldn't knock. Like, literally illegal to go out and knock. We couldn't do it at all. So that's like, I didn't expect my income to halt immediately. So like, I invest in myself a lot. That $25,000, that's just part of it. And there's like some other stuff. I've invested in, Facebook ad courses for my friends who kill it at that, and like just a ton of stuff. And I'd recently invested, I think it was like $5,000 to $8,000 right before that. And I never have a huge savings. Up until this point, I've never had an emergency fund. So COVID hit.
What's the most you've had in your savings account?
Most I've had in my account ever, like I told you, is like $35K probably.
Yeah.
Didn't last very long. Like
So
very
when you're
short.
saying you don't have a savings account, can you help the listeners
When I say I
understand
don't
like
have
where
a
you're putting
savings
that
account,
money?
right now in my account, I have enough for my expenses, which is coming up this month. I have about $5,000 in my account. Everything else right now is in investments.
Yep.
So, and that's a big part of like making yourself broke. But yeah, I have like 5,000 in my account right now. Checking, I have like $1,000.
Yeah,
so,
same way.
So yeah,
make the money work.
And it's just because I have to make new money, and I'm not taking out all this money I've already made. Like I have to make new money if I want to. If I want to do something, I have to make new money.
Yep.
And that's a big thing I do.
I think that just there, I've never put two and two together, but I think that's why there's certain people that are able to achieve a higher level of sales.
Yeah.
It's literally seeing it not for like I'm making this money, but if I put it in crypto, traditional stocks, GameStop, AMC, whatever the hell it is, like this is a lot more than making $1,000 a week on the side.
Yeah.
Right? You see that bigger picture. That's at least for me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't investing in anything. I wasn't investing in crypto or stocks, and I've always wanted to, but up until like 30 to 40 days ago when you and me, you helped me get it set up.
Yeah.
Now I'm obsessed, and it shows in sales. I have a different why.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not related to money. You have to tie it to something bigger, and it
if
can
your
be
why
multiple
is just
things.
money, you're gonna just get blown out very soon.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to change it eventually. In the beginning, that's a lot of people, but then that's when they like fail or burn out, and then they have to rewire themselves almost. But yeah, that's been so. Yeah, investing and stuff has been kind of how I make myself pro. I didn't even realize it, but Grant Cardone, I didn't even realize it until I hopped on the app Clubhouse. He kind of talked on it. I used to spend a lot of time on there. But he was just talking about a lot of people, the reason they don't do that and have these big accounts is they're, to a certain degree, maybe, a little scared of, can they make me new money? And that's like a part that I've never been like really where I've always been a super, super high risk person. So I'm just like, I can make new money. I mean, it's not an issue at all. I mean, especially so getting back to what we did in COVID. So sales stopped completely. I had ran up credit cards to pay for my rent and stuff. My credit card limit, I didn't even have good credit. My limit was like $2,800. Somehow I ran that up to like $7,000. I don't know how that's possible, but it got up there. So my back's against the wall. $7,000 in debt. I did pay for my apartment that went on the credit card, so I had, at least didn't have to worry about that. But yeah, I just had to get out of that mess really quick, and I just hopped on the phone with my mentor at the time, which was Mark Lack, and he's just like, bro, you're fit, like do fitness coaching. I'm like, I never want to do it, ever. I just thought personal trainer, and I thought low income, but then I'm like, online's a little different. So, and then yeah, I just went for it, and then before even knowing how I was going to train them, I got 3 clients, so that's a big thing, is I take action before I know what to do. I had people around me, like, how are you going to train them? Like, I don't know, I'll figure it out. I know how to get people results. That's the one thing I do know how to do.
Yeah.
Because it's simple. It's really, really simple. So yeah, I got those clients, and then I just, met with people who are already doing the same thing. Sorry, I'm fidgeting. I met with people who are already doing the same thing, and just learned in the first week. I got 8 clients at around like $1,000 each, so it was like almost $8,000. Not all of them paid in full. But I got myself out of that mess within basically a week. So that really proved it big time to myself, because it's like a lot of people went through this COVID, and a lot of people, I think all the people that I know and that we're surrounded with, honestly, it's been not for everyone, but it's for the most part been like some of their best year ever with business and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
and in personal growth.
Huge contrast with the rest of society. It's been the worst time probably ever for most people. Unemployment was, I think, the highest ever. So that kind of like the biggest time proving myself, and then that's led me in now. It's an actual business. We've been doing that consistently. I didn't know what I was doing at first at all, and then we've systemized it so well right now. Where last week we just closed like 10 clients, which is 10,000.
Okay,
but
yeah.
we're just trying to get that
10K
consistent.
weeks, yeah.
Consistent, and but yeah, that's when I really felt like, okay, I already knew I had what it takes. Like, you have what it takes, but then like, shit, I just did it. Like, that's a little different. So that's when I was pretty proud of myself from that, getting out of that whole situation. And if I just started a business during COVID, that wasn't even like, I didn't know that was going to happen at all. So I didn't own a business until this year, or I guess last year.
Yeah.
So now I feel like I'm an actual entrepreneur, I guess. Still have a hard time calling myself an entrepreneur until I'm at that 7-figure mark. But, the definition of entrepreneur is like a business owner, right? So
yeah,
I guess I am. I don't know.
Yeah, no, and I think entrepreneur plays on a lifestyle too. And you brought up a really good point that I want to touch on is that you take action, man. Like that's simply what separates it. Like you can see these things, you can see these opportunities like GameStop come up, or like it could be door knocking. I mean, that sucks, dude. Straight up. Like
I still hate it. I still hate it. People are like, I don't like door knocking. I'm like, I absolutely hate it. Like every day. It's like,
because you're
but then once I'm
drive.
out there, it's different. But every day, like driving out there, ugh.
Oh yeah, you're driving 20 to 30 minutes to get there, and I know we both take a lot of Zoom calls, meetings throughout the day. So then it's like you're doing that, but then 2, 3, 4 p.m. hits, and you're gonna go log 4 hours, like door to door. 2 of the hours nowadays, it's not only gonna be cold, but it's gonna be dark. And you're talking to people. It takes a lot of emotional energy to match everyone. You get a pissed off guy, and then his neighbor's super nice, and you're like, you're matching that. So there's a beautiful thing in it. In the 6 months I've been doing door to door, I have learned so much. In the first month, I didn't make much money. Yeah. But since then, it's definitely anywhere from like consistently $2 to $4K a month.
I want to ask you this: have you noticed any betterment? Like, are you better at any other stuff in your business because of it?
Oh yeah. For me, what I really notice is it keeps me sharp. Like it keeps me.
That's what I say.
Mentally sharp in conversation.
I have morning calls. They're great, but when I'm after knocking, they're just better. Like I do not close a deal after I've been knocking.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, the easiest transition in the world. That's why, learning sales is so valuable. I don't care really what you do. The transition, like had I not learned sales, even starting that fitness business would have been very difficult to just close the people. And it's not like closing, I don't use all these tactics, but it's just knowing what I know, persistent, value, all that stuff. Yep. It was the easiest transition in the world, especially going from door to door, which is the hardest form of sales, in my opinion, maybe, I think.
One of them, for sure. It's definitely levels above cold calling.
Yeah, maybe cold calling. I did that, I did
No,
that
cold calling is easy because you sit in one place, you don't have to look at them, you're not on their property.
Yeah.
Door knocking is definitely a lot more challenging.
Yeah, but yeah, I just think it's one of the hardest forms for sure, and transitioning from talking to people who have not growth mindsets at all. People who are just kind of very average Joes and just like kind of screw you, get out of here type of people. Not everyone's like that, but decent amount of people. Yeah. And then just going from someone who actually wants to talk on the phone and like wants to better their life, those were completely different. And then when I saw that, I'm like, this is going to be so easy. I've been talking with people who've been hit up for solar, like hate it, it's going to save them money, and they just don't care, versus someone who's actually committed to booking this call, which is a process in and of itself. And now is actually, committed to bettering themselves. So I just thought it was going to be so easy, and it really is. It's simple.
Yeah, and I know you do, on average, anywhere from like 25 to 40K a month, right? You said last month, 25K, and that's split between door knocking, and the majority of that's your fitness clients, right? Now, I want to, as we're closing this up, can you speak on the innovation you've used to acquire clients for for how you acquire clients?
So this is probably the biggest lesson on the whole podcast is I'm lazy as hell. So
I'm lazy as hell too.
Yeah, and I think we use it to our advantage. Ed My Light will say the same thing on some of his stuff, which I've learned to be a good thing, to be lazy in the sense, like that's part of the reason I didn't go to college. Frankly, it was when I wanted to be rich. And I wanted to get there the easiest way possible. I was frankly just lazy. I didn't want to do all that schoolwork.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to hurt it by any means. It may hurt your debt situation, so it may hurt that, but the education wouldn't. But as far as, so I was getting leads, initially just Instagram outreach. I was getting on Instagram. First week I did it. I hate it. I hated reaching out to people. I did it for a week, and I got like three clients from it. Yeah. And it's just, I don't like it. I don't like the feeling of like you're only talking to people who follow you and have followed you, and they know. They can see it a mile away that you're trying to get a sale out of
something
them.
here. Yeah.
The second you message them, almost like whatever. The second you like, what are your fitness goals, like, or something like that. They already know why you're there. So it did work. I mean, I got 3 clients who were just like friends who had saw my transformations in the past, but then I just kept trying and like, this is way too difficult. I hate it. I don't feel authentic. Like I hated it. So I switched over. I tried Tinder. So I tried dating apps, and I tried Tinder, and I was swiping on Tinder on girls, and I was like, hey, you looking for a fitness coach? And I should have saw it coming, but they all thought I was calling them fat. I should have saw that one coming.
Together yet. Yeah, you're exactly right. That would be a terrible way. That would be a terrible way to start a conversation. You think I'm fat? Do you want to go on a date or not? Like, it's going to be awkward no matter what.
Yeah, that's what I tried. Did not work at all. I didn't, not at all. And then I was just on the phone telling my friend about it, and he's like, that's funny. Like, I was just telling him it didn't really work and stuff. He's like, that's funny that you're trying that. Have you heard of this app called Grindr? Like, Grindr, no, what's that? And he's like, it's like a gay Tinder. It's like, huh.
Gay Tinder.
He's completely joking at the time. So he hangs up the phone, and I'm just kind of there thinking. It's like, I created an account, and I got 8 clients in 72 hours.
I love it.
She got a lead for $1 each.
Yeah.
Zoom calls.
Yeah. No, you have a system there. That's why I know no one can replicate it.
And the reason I did that,
difficult.
I always like, it's because I was lazy. It's because this was too hard. Facebook's too hard. I don't want to, Facebook ads that cost money and all this stuff. So I'm like, just trying to find the easiest way possible to get whatever you want done.
Yeah.
And I was like, I figured it out, and it's still killing it.
I love it.
At one point, this summer, we had a sales team. I had a sales team of 15 people all messaging for me. On Grindr.
Their day-to-day job was to represent someone else.
We just figured out shortly that like none of them were super committed to it, and it was kind of just better to focus on a few people who were pretty committed to it. Yeah. And then now Danny just herself produces more than that entire team did.
Wow.
So she's got it down.
Danny's a rock star.
Yeah, Danny's awesome. She does a lot.
Yeah. I love this. I love our conversation, Kevin, and I really wanted it to just be like the conversations we normally have. And I think that's the whole concept for the social seller, and that it shouldn't always be about sales, but how we can better ourselves. So, in closing, man, how can people get in contact with you, and how can they learn more about Uprise, as I know a lot of your products are dropping here soon? Yeah,
that's one thing we haven't even gotten. So Uprise, we do online fitness coaching, but then we just started, now we're moving into apparel. So building a brand is always something I've wanted to do. I bought the domain, a $2,000 domain. I bought that 2 years ago. I always knew I wanted to do it, and it's uprisefitness.com. But yeah, I mean, it's always something I wanted to do. So we're slowly moving to that. COVID has made things a little slower with like getting, like, we should get the hoodies in like a week, and then like tanks and stuff. But as far as our Instagram's just at Uprise. So just Uprise, UPRISE. And then if you want to talk to me, it's Kevin_Dana_. Just on Instagram, DM me if you want to chat about anything.
Yeah, no, I love that. And just, I want to give you a quick plug here, because I've seen you go through the progressions of like 60 different versions of the hoodies, and you would send one back because it would look perfect to me, and you'd be like, I don't like how the end of this lace is white. It should be black.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Yeah, that's
like these your clothing, everything that I've been able to try on. I mean, it fits like in a whole nother realm of clothing. So,
and that's why I've always the people are like, oh, fitness, everyone comes at me like, dude, apparel's like one of the hardest things to ever start. I'm like, cool, I don't care. Like, I'm just going to make it better. Like, I just see, because I see all the companies that are doing well. I see Vanquish, I see Live Fit and stuff, and I look at their website, I look at their products, I order their products, I'm like, this is not the best, this is not the best, this is not the, like, and see how you can improve it. So, number one, obviously having the best product, and then number two is just going to move into the marketing, because obviously I'd say marketing, you can have the best product in the world, but marketing's more important for sure.
Yep.
And then, but yeah, that's what we're working on now. We'll figure it out. I don't care if it takes 30 years. We're going to build one of the biggest apparel brands in the U.S.
I love it, man. Thanks again, Kev.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Good shit. That was fun. We got some